A woman with long hair and elegant armor greets someone. That person's name is Rei. She mentions that her daughter has already spoken about Rei. She then introduces herself as Maniana. With a welcoming expression, she extends her hand and says it's a pleasure to meet Rei. Maniana and the boy engage in a fast-paced sword duel, clashing with very powerful strikes. She smiles confidently and comments on his impressive skills. Cut to somebody swiping a keycard at a nearby door as steam slowly spreads inside the room. Maniana, caught off guard in the shower, screams in surprise and demands to know what the intruder is doing. She then smiles and calls him a naughty boy, recognizing who it is. It then cuts to Maniana bruised, crying and apologizing. She tearfully says she's sorry for being a bad mother. As someone screams in anguish, a clenched fist slams down on a keyboard. The boy, shaken, questions why something so terrible happened and calls it awful. He screams in frustration, asking why such a cute mom had to die. Just then, his phone beeps, displaying a message from the game management team. He checks the phone with excitement, hoping the developers added a route where the moms are saved. But after reading the message, he slams the desk in frustration, realizing it was just a new event for the heroines. He yells at the devs, questioning why they keep ignoring the moms when the heroines already have their happy ending. Our main character is just a regular corporate worker who enjoys not safe for work browser games, especially the ones with MILF heroines. The game introduced is called Mal Magical Fantasia, also known as Mama Fan. It's an adult fantasy RPG set in an academy filled with swords, magic, and erotic elements. Despite being 18+, it receives praise for its RPG mechanics. The main appeal lies in its heroines, who have unique and varied personalities that add charm to the overall experience. The game also has an impressive cast of mom characters, raising the appeal. However, it's noted that, despite their charm, they are only treated as sub-heroines without independent story routes. This frustrates our narrator, who openly admits his preference for MILF characters, and wishes they had a more prominence in the game. He explains that despite the mom's appeal, they often face horrific fates, such as murder, poisoning, torture, or dying while saving others. These tragic ends are shown as brutal and undeserved. Meanwhile, the protagonist Rei is shown protecting the heroines and moving forward with them. The contrast highlights how the mom's deaths are treated as less important compared to the main character's heroic moments. The man furiously types at his keyboard, frustrated that the protagonist never falls for the moms. He questions whether the developers or the protagonist are obsessed with younger girls, despite many users, especially him, sending repeated requests for mom routes. The devs never responded. Meanwhile, he notes the game's continued popularity, even though he's in the minority as a MILF fan. Imagining the moms in schoolgirl uniforms, he grumbles that the outfits would have looked better on them anyway, questioning the widespread obsession with high school girls. Reflecting deeply, he wishes he were the protagonist, saying he would have done everything possible to save them. After finishing the game, he quietly gets up and heads off to work, descending the stairs with a heavy heart. Suddenly, the man screams, as he's jolted into a new reality. He finds himself lying on a bed, dressed in a completely different outfit. Stunned, he looks around in confusion, trying to understand what just happened. He recalls falling down the stairs and looks around the ornate Western-style mansion, which feels oddly familiar, as he notices a portrait on the wall. He pauses and recognizes the image. Sitting on the floor, he begins to realize something shocking and wonders if he somehow entered the world of the game. Just then, a woman rushes in, asking if he's alright and calling him Demonio, noting that he was screaming loudly. The boy freezes in shock, recognizing her instantly. The boy realizes the woman before him is Rosa, a mother character from the game Mama Fan. Recognizing her role and the setting, he confirms that he's been transported inside the game's world. Excited, he clenches his fist, amazed that he's now part of the very game he's been playing all this time. The boy looks into the mirror and realizes Rosa called him Demonio. Shocked, he recognizes the face staring back at him. It's the same character from the game. Panicking, he exclaims that this is the last person he wanted to become. Realizing the identity he's taken on, he shouts in alarm. The narration confirms the identity of Demonio Tradal, a powerful magic user known for his arrogance and cruelty. He's portrayed as the typical villainous aristocrat, antagonistic towards the commoner protagonist. Despite his skill, Demonio once challenged the hero and was easily defeated. The boy now realizes he's taken on the role of the infamous antagonist within the game world. The boy recalls Demonio's fate, how he would always lose control of his powers and meet a rather gruesome end, no matter the game's route. Now inhabiting his body, he panics, realizing the danger that he is now in. Clutching his collar in fear, he tells himself he won't accept a bad ending after finally arriving in the world of Mamafan. Desperately, he questions what he should do next to survive. Rosa approaches him with concern, asking if he is alright and noting that he looks pale. The boy clutches his chest, overwhelmed, and calls out her name. In his mind, he's completely soothed by her gentle presence, momentarily forgetting the crisis that he's in. Rosa Tradal, Demonio's stepmother, is introduced as a minor character who doesn't appear often in the main story. However, the boy notes that she's very popular among certain players, especially him. Rosa apologizes for entering without knocking, explaining she was worried after hearing his screams, then admits she may have overstepped. The boy notices that Rosa looks frightened. As she touches her cheek, he's confused for a moment. Rosa then reassured him with a gentle smile, telling him not to worry about the mark and admits it was entirely her fault. Suddenly, the boy is overwhelmed by vivid and painful memories. Scenes of Demonio abusing Rosa, shouting that she only wanted his father's money. He realizes these aren't his own memories, but those of the real character. But before he was reincarnated. The plot explains that Demonio lost his biological mother at a young age, and perhaps as a coping mechanism, developed deep hatred towards Rosa, treating her with cruelty. Despite Demonio's hatred, Rosa continued to treat him with love and care as a mother. Even during the final confrontation between Demonio and the protagonist, when Demonio had gone astray, Rosa risked everything. She stepped in to shield him, pleading for his life and placing herself in harm's way to protect him. In a shocking memory, Demonio strikes Rosa down as she tries to protect him, shouting at her to stay out of his way. Bloodied and collapsing, Rosa meets a tragic fate. The boy now inhabiting Demonio is silent as he processes the horror. The narration confirms that this was Rosa's ending in every route of Mamafan, no matter the choices. Overcome with guilt, the boy tearfully apologizes to Rosa, calling her mom, condemning Demonio's past actions. He expresses regret for everything that he had done to her, worrying about the scar on her face. Trying to cover up his emotional slip, he awkwardly claims that he was just in a rebellious phase and that he only acted out because he wanted to be closer to her. Hearing him call her mom, Rosa appears touched and surprised. Realizing this slip, the boy panics and immediately apologizes, thinking he may have offended her. Embarrassed, he assumes that calling her mom might have disgusted her. Internally, he regrets speaking the way he used to while playing the game, realizing how natural it felt in the moment. Rosa stays silent, processing the words. Rosa suddenly rushes towards him with joy, overwhelmed with happiness. She tightly hugs him while smiling through tears, saying she's thrilled that he finally acknowledged her as his mom. Rosa warmly hugs him, resting her face against his chest with a peaceful smile. He freezes up, his face flushed and eyes wide. Internally, he panics, shocked by how massive her chest feels, unable to focus as he pulls away. Rosa stands with a bright, affectionate smile and tells him to call her mom more often from now on. Then, with her eyes gently closed and a warm expression, she assures him that she understands and always believed he was a good boy deep down. Rosa gently suggests that they take things slowly and build their bond as a family from now on. She waves sweetly before leaving the room, promising to see him soon. Left alone, he reflects on how kind and cute Rosa is, realizing how tragic it would be if such a warm soul had died without ever being appreciated. He reflects on how it was Demonio who killed Rosa and Mamafan, wondering if trying hard enough would change her fate. He realizes it's not just about Rosa. Motivated, he asks himself if he could save all the moms who were never given a path to survive, determined to do so with his own hands. The world of Mamafan was harsh. Many heroines were doomed by their cruel fates, while the main heroines were often saved by the protagonist. There were also sub-heroines who remained unnoticed and unloved. As the boy trains intensely, he recalls those overlooked characters who fell outside the protagonist's reach, and feels determined to change the fate himself. The boy is filled with determination. He knows that to save the moms, he needs overwhelming power. As he trains under a waterfall and pushes his body to the limit with intense exercises, he declares his need for the strength to defeat powerful enemies and overcome any obstacle. What he seeks isn't just strength, it's the power to change the very course of the story itself. The boy studies intensely, knowing that Demonio, despite being a jerk, was incredibly talented and backed by both wealth and status. He realizes that if he wants to surpass someone like that, he must train as if his life depended on it and stay away from becoming a villain. With determination in his steps, he begins walking his own path, one forged through effort, not evil. With a chilling grin, he mutters his decision to allow the game's protagonist, despite his odd title, to rescue the heroines. With unwavering determination, the protagonist boldly declares his mission to save all of the moms in this world. Skipping forward a little bit, a massive bear is towering over a squad of knights, roaring violently. The peacekeeping soldiers panic as they realize the bear is far larger and more dangerous than the report indicated. One of them doubts they even stand a chance against the beast. Just as things seemed grim, our protagonist confidently steps forward, tightening his glove. He calmly tells the soldiers to fall back and let him handle it. The knights, stunned, as they recognize him. He's Lord Demonio. As the wild bear charges with a thunderous roar, the young man swiftly unleashes a spell. Dark energy bursts from his body as he declares the name of the technique. Intermediate spell, Black Dance. A powerful black arc slides through the air and slams into the beast. The soldiers are left in awe after witnessing the beast's defeat, amazed that it only took one strike. They express disbelief that their master personally came to handle such a threat. Meanwhile, our protagonist is thinking to himself that he needs to finish this quickly so he can return home and receive praise from Rosa. It's revealed that 2 months have passed since he reincarnated into the body of this infamous noble, Demonio. The servants discuss how Lord Demonio has changed recently. They recall how he once treated them like cattle, but now seems to be training seriously. One maid shares that he even helped her with a task, and another confirms he went out of his way to defeat a beast. Their surprise grows as they realize he's acting completely different. One servant quietly reflects that it's almost like he's become a new person. As Demonio sits confidently, one of the guests acknowledge that he has become a respectable man. With the family head Glenn frequently away, Demonio now oversees the household as acting head. As a formal meeting takes place, and once terms are settled, the guest agrees to the deal. Demonio then hands over a document and calmly instructs her to secure it in the safe. The woman politely excuses herself after receiving Demonio's approval, intending to leave with the document. As she was bending forward, the older guest states that such behavior won't do, directed at Demonio, while giving him a sly look. As the woman holds the contract, the older man questions Demonio's decision to entrust it to her, suggesting she could disappear with his fortune. The other two men mockingly comment on her seductive appearance, implying she manipulated Lord Glenn, and lewdly joke about wanting her attention for themselves. Rosa, who comes from a once noble but now impoverished family, sits quietly while Demonio observes her. Despite her smile, she's clearly under pressure. After marrying into the Glenn family as the second wife, she's been harshly labeled as a gold digger, and the constant insults have worn her down. The old man who gestures towards her is revealed to be the one who created the path for others to scorn her. Demonio clenches his fist in rage as he recalls the moment before his reincarnation, where his former self cruelly insulted Rosa, accusing her of being after his father's money. Reflecting on this, he condemns his previous self's words, declaring that Rosa is dignified, loving, and a beautiful woman filled with grace and charm. The room falls silent as Demonio refers to Rosa as his mother, leaving everyone shocked by the sudden intensity in his voice. The older man stares in disbelief, questioning if he truly meant it. Demonio slams his hands down and rises, unleashing a terrifying aura. He warns them that insulting his mother in his presence means they no longer deserve to keep their necks. Demonio's dark aura wraps around the two men, lifting them into the air as they scream in pain and terror. His voice remains cold and firm as he tells them to get out of his sight, his glowing eyes showing no mercy. The two men flee in panic, confused by Demonio's sudden defense of his stepmother. Rosa gently reminds Demonio not to let emotions overwhelm him, as he's the next head of the house. Embarrassed, Demonio apologizes, admitting he got angry when he saw them disrespect her. Rosa embraces Demonio warmly, calling him a bad boy for making her so happy. Demonio freezes in shock as she playfully questions his intention for bringing her such joy. Demonio, blushing and flustered in Rosa's embrace, admits he's on good terms with his stepmother and wishes to keep flirting with her forever. He then declares his goal, to gain more power so he can save all of the moms in the world, before the final quest arrives, the path that led him to ruin and desolation. Demonio sets his eyes on the Glenn family treasure, a rare weapon from a subquest that doesn't affect the main story. Despite that, he vows to do everything in his power to obtain it, solely to protect Rosa. With unwavering determination, he declares he'll save her, even if it means diving into danger with his face buried in her chest.